Hello there. Today I'll be talking about why and how I made this game. First of all, I love deck builders. They're addictive, they're fun, and replayable. However, I've always wondered, what if, instead of being fed what the designers want me to have, I got to make my own cards? And that idea eventually started this project. But the question is, how? Obviously, I can't just make a card editor in-game. It wouldn't be fun for most of the people, and it would feel like walking instead. And even if you're done making cards, the gameplay wouldn't be that different from other deck builders. And then I discovered Inscription. I love the card design of this game. There are hardly any text on the card, and once you understand how each symbol functions, the game just flows perfectly. But it's not until I forged two cards into one that I know that I've found my solution. The symbols are exactly what I need to make a card. And now we have a plan. Quite a bunch of symbols, or runes in my case, that each do a different thing. And you put them together to make a card. Which is amazing, considering the more runes I make, the more diverse the deck will become. However, we now have two problems. First, I can't dump all these runes to people all at once. We would have a PoE situation. It will overwhelm and paralyze them. The smart way would be showing those runes one by one, and maybe as a reward after combat. Or perhaps unlock them in your talent tree or in your progression system, so that by the time you unlocked all of them, you already know by practice what each one does. Okay, what about problem 2? Well, I still need a quote-unquote card to put those runes in, and since I'm giving those runes as a combat reward, the card can't just be blank. Otherwise, there will be nothing you can do during the first few combats, so the card needs to at least do something. What about attack and block? Well, it works, but that's kind of boring. If cards need to exist, they need to be engaging as well. So what can I add to the card without taking away the agency of the runes? Slots are a given, since the more slots a card has, the stronger they can be. What about AoE and double strikes? Shouldn't that be the job of the runes? Well, they could be. But imagine, if you have a rune that does a raw attack, another one that does a pierce attack, you put them together. What should the card do? In theory, I can merge those two together, but it's messy and confusing. Giving them to the card is way better. And you know by instinct that if you put a rune in an AoE card, its effect will be applied to every enemy it attacks. As a result, the most basic card would be a simple attack with one slot, and the most epic card would be a multi-attack AoE with 4 slots. Now that we have a robust deck system, it's time for combat. The easy way to do this would be copying Slay the Spire. One dude on the left, a few enemies on the right. Clean and simple. In hindsight, it's probably something I should have done. But at the time, when I was designing the system, I was hell-bent on being as far away from Slay the Spire as possible. So I looked at Darkest Dungeon and thought, yeah, why the heck not? I can do multiple characters. It's going hardcore anyway. This drastically increased the scope of the project. And now, I need a different deck for each type of characters. And they need some sort of synergy to work together, which I'm still not sure I've done successfully. Hence the early access. And now you have it. A few dudes on the left, and lots of enemies on the right. As for the main loop, instead of you moving ahead, I flipped it around and made the monsters come to you. You still have the agency of a choice, but failing to beat the enemy in time would result in a loss. And since runes are the core of the game, I've introduced the idea of target farming. The runes are separated into 6 different realms. If you want a certain one, you will go to the realm it belongs to, unlock it first, and then fight enemies inside that realm. Let's talk about visuals. Since the game is about runes and magic, I used a dark backdrop with blue and yellow as the main color. It makes them stand out more. As for the combat, I didn't want to make 2D animated characters since they've been done to death and time consuming. Instead, I went for the Hearthstone route and made interesting frames with a character icon. I still spend a lot of effort doing combat animation and VFX. It's hard since I can't go overboard. It would otherwise impact the flow of the game. It's not a good experience to wait for a long attack animation to finish before you can play your next card. As for the story, this might be a hot take. There isn't any, and there won't be any. I don't want a mediocre story beat to pop up and interrupt your game flow in a game that's obviously gameplay heavy. I did do the minimum to set up who you are and what you're doing, but that's it. Finally, audio. This one is completely out of my expertise. That being said, I still bought and licensed a few soundtracks that kind of fits the theme of the background. So, if you're streaming the game online, I would recommend turning the music off. All in all, making this game has been a long journey. At the end of the day, did I fulfill my creative vision? 100%. Is the game fun? That's for you to decide. The demo should be up by the time this video is out. Link in the description down below.